The West Australian in your hometown. The headline is Premier's $60,000 grand final party. Exclusive here from Josh Zimmerman. Premier Mark McGowan and 10 ministers were showered with more than $60,000 worth of tickets for the AFL Grand Final, along with 2 tickets to the AFL Grand Final Chairman's function valued at $6,800. Mr McGowan was also provided with 3 seats in the stands worth a combined $1,455. To be honest, big deal. I mean, politicians get invited to these kinds of things all the time, don't they, Nick?
Oh, they do, Caleb. And, you know, when have you never seen the Premier or the Prime Minister sitting in one of the biggest events? You can't shoot down that AFL Grand Final. It was one of the most beautiful things that you've ever seen. 60,000 people in a stadium to watch one of the great grand finals, and well done to the Melbourne Football Club. But just to throw numbers around that's going to be just water off a duck's back for this Premier. He's so popular, he could do just about anything and get away with it. And but this is a reality. This is just numbers. He would have declared it. He'd have to declare it. He's squeaky clean, this Premier. It's going to take a lot more to bring this one down.
The seceding state of West Australia. Very quickly, we'll go to The Age. Ambulance boss calls in ADF to ease health crisis. Defence personnel will be deployed to drive ambulances, and triage tents are going up outside many Melbourne hospitals as part of a string of extraordinary measures designed to protect Victoria's health system from being overwhelmed by a growing wave of COVID-19 patients. Now, I mean, we've talked about it on this show so many times. I can't believe we weren't prepared for this. And if we've got to the point now where we have to call in ADF personnel who should be worrying about other things to drive ambulances, this is a complete balls up, isn't it, Nick?
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more, Caleb. I mean, you know, we've been going at this now for 19 months. If we are not prepared or ready for this now, I know what's going on in Victoria is heartbreaking and almost difficult to read or even think about. But to bring in the ADF at this point, it's a health system that's not in crisis. It's an absolute disaster zone, and it really needs fixing. And while we're at it, it's not the only health system that's in crisis zone. So is Queensland. So is Western Australia. And we don't even have COVID over here in Western Australia, and we can't operate. But ambulances in Victoria, I swear, if you're bringing in the ADF to do anything, that is at the complete and utter tipping point. We shouldn't be there. We should have a better health system, and particularly for Victorians, they should be asking that of their Premier. Why don't we have that?
Absolutely, mate. And I'll just note this one very quickly because we're nearly out of time. But the Sunshine Coast Daily has a yarn tomorrow. No one wants to help us. A terminally ill Sunshine Coast man says he is afraid he will die on the street if desperate pleas for housing are not heard. The federal government spent a lot of money getting people to build houses of their own. I don't see why they can't put money into some public housing as well.